unfortunately, this is going to be a sad video. Last week, well, Sunday, July 14, at 4:44 in the morning, I lost my mom. She was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer after Memorial Day, just a month and a half prior. And after brief treatments in Charlotte at the Cancer Institute, there was really nothing they could do. It had already spread from her pancreas to her liver to one of her lungs. Basically, we went up for a couple consultations, my brother, my dad, myself, along with my mom, and the news was just grim all the way around, showing CT scans, and it really brought back unfortunate memories of 7.5 years ago when I lost my first wife to uterine sarcoma. Long-time followers that have been part of my channel for a long time, you remember what I went through with that. I was pretty much by myself down there. This time we were a family, hoping for the best, and I was thinking 7.5 years that there would be more advancements in cancer treatment, especially in late stage cancer treatments, but apparently not. Yeah, I mean, it's really, this happened a lot faster than it did with my wife. She was suffering for 6.5 months. My mom was basically a month and a half, well, maybe 2 months, when she started feeling pains back in May, I think May 15. She was starting to have some abdominal pains, so she went to get some blood work done, and they didn't get the results back till May 27, like I said, day after Memorial Day, and that's when it came back that she had she had cancer. And then they went in for CT scans and discovered just how bad it was. And it's just really bizarre how fast this hit. I mean, beginning of May, they were on a riverboat cruise up in the Northwest, on the Columbia River between Washington and Oregon, one of those American cruises, riverboat cruises, and it was fine. They were kayaking, they were canoeing, going on the boat, climbing towers, hiking. I mean, living retirement. And then this happened just out of nowhere. And, apparently my mom was real hesitant to tell me because she knew what I went through with my late wife. I mean, that's understandable, but, they basically didn't tell me till the beginning of June. I guess they were just trying to hope that there was some way, to treat this. But unfortunately, the times that we were all there as a family together, and I'm kind of sitting behind the monitor because I already know, I'm just listening to this because I've seen the CT scans from back when my late wife had her uterine sarcoma. So I'm just taking this all in, and I'm just thinking this is not good, and why was this not detected sooner? The one thing my mom always was on, my brother, myself, my dad, all of us, was to get checked for colon cancer because it ran in the family. She had, her father had passed away when she was 12 from colon cancer, along with his brother, her uncle. And they, she wound up having to suffer basically 5 days of agony and emotional torture, having to be forced to go to the wake, the funeral, the cemetery, and she swore that this would and she didn't want to put us through that. She didn't want to put really any of the family through that, and I can respect that. So unfortunately, like I said, at 4:44, my dad remembers that time because actually the number 44 was a lucky number for my grandmother. And so every time they saw 44, it was like, hey, our grandmother's looking over us, or it reminded us of her. And when she passed, my dad got I guess it was a phone call on his cell phone at 4:44 a.m. July 14, and that was apparently when she passed away. So we knew right then and there it was our Gram coming to get her. So this past week, my brother and I, we took off from work. We've been at my parents' place helping to gather up her clothes, and we've been taking them to a local battered women's shelter here in town. That was her wish. She didn't want to take them to a thrift store. She wanted to take them to some place where they would get used, and where a thrift store wouldn't be trying to price gouge or try to make a profit off of them. There were some nice clothes. My dad said there was thousands of dollars in nice clothes. And all this week we were pretty much doing that, fulfilling her wish. It got to the point that they couldn't accept anymore. That happened Thursday. So all we could do was basically we're kind of in a holding pattern now, where we're going to meet up with somebody at my old college, my old university that I went to, and they take professional clothes, which is all that's left, to for donations that they're going to give to college students, and that way they'll have nice clothing when they hit the job market. So so we're still trying to fulfill her wish. She wanted everything to go to the battered women's shelter, but again, when they can't take it anymore, and we went one day, and they said they were real grateful that we had brought all this stuff. Then there was another lady working the next day, and it was like, well, we don't take this stuff because of COVID, or it was COVID things, or because of lice or bed bugs, blah blah blah. And my dad and I were kind of stunned. We're like, well, what are we supposed to do now? The lady yesterday had no problem with this. Well, turns out it was a miscommunication. The lady that we dealt with the first time, she said, oh no, that we got all this, we need all this, and we're not going to throw it away, because that's the first thing I said. I was like, look, if you're going to throw it away, we're going to come pick it up. We don't want it to end up in a dumpster, because that would really bother us. So we donated as much as we could, and we again had a private ceremony with ourselves, where we went and my mom was cremated. We went and picked up the ashes, and she's currently sitting on the mantle at my dad's place, or my parents' place. I call it my parents' place because even though my dad is the only one left living there. So yeah, this just really caught us by surprise, and of course my dad's doing the best he can. He didn't want to leave her side when she passed. I mean, it just devastated me seeing that. They had been together 61 years. We're all from Buffalo, New York, so we're proud of our Buffalo heritage. We moved here back. We moved here in 1980. We moved to Memphis for a couple of years between 77 and 79, basically. But Yeah, they were together 61 years, graduated, they were high school sweethearts, married for 56 years. I came along basically a year later. June 29th was their 56th anniversary, and my birthday's June 17th, so almost a full year I came along. And, yeah, so, my brother and I are keeping tabs on my dad. My brother lives a block away, so he's there every day. I was there every day, but I've got to get back to work, and starting this coming week, and I'm gonna get out there periodically, but he's kind of in that mode right now where he's just really trying to mourn alone, still going through mom's stuff, taking his time, going through her stuff and all that. So it's unfortunately, this is the new reality that we're having to live in. My mom was the youngest of five and the first to go. It's just bizarre. And another weird fact, my late wife was the youngest of nine and the first to go. Both from cancer. It's just a weird, unfortunate, morbid coincidence that, this has happened. I mean, we just thought she had more time, but she was suffering. I mean, it was just going downhill so fast. The last 3 days that she was with us, she really was having a hard time eating, swallowing, and I could tell, that things, just again, from what I went through, things were not going to last much longer. I mean, I didn't think it would last, or it would happen in a few days. I was thinking maybe in a couple weeks, maybe, this month, next month. Of course, my dad and the conversations with the doctors was hoping there would be years, but they pretty much told him flat out that's unfortunately not possible because of the severity of her condition. And my mom, again, thinking back, we had that conversation. I'm looking back, I'm thinking, how did I miss this? Because I was on you guys, repeatedly, religiously about getting checked for colon cancer, but how did this slip by? And we did all sorts of research ourselves, and there's really no way to know that you've got it until you've got it. And by then, it's usually too late. There's that famous people, and I'm sure others out there maybe watching this video have experienced, relatives or friends or whatever that went through, pancreatic cancer, and just how vicious it is. And it literally was, it was just vicious. But I guess if there's any positive note, my mom didn't suffer. She didn't suffer for long, I guess you could say. When it really started to get unbearable, where they were starting to increase her morphine, that's when, we knew things weren't going good. But she was just looking for anything to numb the pain, because even the cancer place was trying to bring her in for chemotherapy. And my dad and even Kate, she said the same thing, because she was in the medical field for so long. They're just looking to draw this out to, get their, pay their bills and live their luxury lifestyle. Try to draw out, and that's what my dad even said. Well, what's the point in drawing out the suffering for a longer period of time when there's no cure? I mean, there's no real treatment. Why prolong the suffering? And even Kate said the same thing. It's just a money grab. It basically turned into a money grab. Now, for those in the medical field, you may say, oh, it's not that. Well, from our perspective, and even Kate's perspective, she was in it for 25 years. They're just looking to get whatever they can, money-wise, to line their pockets or pay their bills or live their luxury lifestyles. My mom, she told me this too, that when her father passed away, when she was old enough to get a job, she worked for a short time at a doctor's office. And one of the doctors asked her, what brought you to work in our facility? And my mom told him that I'd lost my dad to, colon cancer, and I wanted to try to make a difference. And I don't know if it was a doctor or somebody else. I think it was the doctor that said, well, let me give you a little bit of reality. You see this nice room, you see these nice offices that the doctors have, you see the nice cars they're driving, and this is back in the late 60s, mid to late 60s. My mom was like, yeah. And she's like, well, if there's a cure for cancer that's ever found, all this goes away. And that kind of woke my mom up. She's like, well, what's the point? And I think that was part of her decision making to not seek further treatment, because there was the end game. We knew what the end game was. There was no cure. There was no way to stop this, only prolong your life, but still you're in pain. You're still suffering. You're eventually going to pass. And unfortunately, I guess, like I said, any silver lining here, she didn't suffer long. I mean, my late wife suffered 6.5 months. She only lasted, a month and a half, 2 months, if you count the initial pains she had back around May 15 when she went in for blood work. And here she passed away July 14. So, I mean, literally 2 months. It was just unfathomable how fast this happened. But I'll continue this conversation. I'm picking up lunch, and I'll hit the road and we'll continue on. All right, heading back home. Yeah, so like I said, this whole week I've been with my dad. They picked her up that Sunday morning. I was out there. My dad got that call, and it's weird because when I got up that Sunday morning, last Sunday, woke up right around 5, and I kind of stumbled a little bit. I was like, okay, this is something that was just weird. Usually when I get up, normal routine, I'm usually up and walking, and I was walking to my computer. As soon as I sat down, I was reaching for my cell phone, and right as I was reaching for it, I got the call, and it had Dad on it, and I was like, oh crap. And he was just breaking down on the phone that it's over, Mom passed, and again told me the time, that we knew that my grandmother, her mom, had come to pick her up. So went out there. The coroner got there about 6, and then the I guess the undertakers, if you want to call them that, came out with the hearse to pick her body up by 8 o'clock, 8:30. They had to move stuff out of the way so they could take her out. And again, she wanted to be cremated. So we're going there. I think we went. Yeah, that was Monday. Yeah, we went there that Monday. My dad, of course, took care of everything. We went into the urn showroom to pick out the urn, and the average price is around $400. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is ridiculous. I'm thinking to that line, if anybody has seen The Big Lebowski, near the end when their bowling buddy Donnie passed away, and Walter Sobchak, the Vietnam vet, was in the funeral parlor and looking at the price of the urn, and they're like, just because we're bereaved doesn't make us saps. That's the first line I thought of. I was like, why? Of course, if you're going in a casket or going in the ground, you're looking at 5-digit figures, easy, for paying for a funeral. And it's like, people can go broke just to bury a loved one, if they don't have life insurance or whatever. And we're just, again, probably even the cheapest route, which is what my mom wanted, to be cremated. Even with the price of the urn, the death certificates, the whole procedure, blah, 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 came to close to $4,000. And we're like, just the other day, and I was out there with my dad, we just started looking at the prices of urns, and the one that we got, he found for, I think, 1/3 of the price. And it's like, I guess if we'd have known, maybe we should have gotten something, but, technically, we were looking for our grandmother's urn, because, they've got it somewhere in their house, but they kind of, I think my mom put it somewhere, and we're not sure where. But, technically we could find her urn, move my mom's ashes to it, then save the urn that my dad paid for and use that for him when his time comes. And we're discussing this, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't know, I'm just really not ready to discuss, future cremation plans at this time. I didn't say anything. I'm just listening to the conversation, and I'm like, this is hard enough. And I worry about my dad. He was in Vietnam. Seen a lot of blood and gore and all that. But again, when you lose someone you love, you see him take this last breath, and that's the first thing that we mentioned. Was that I mentioned about Yachty, that you see your loved one take their last breath on this earth. It changes you in ways that you never imagined. So, we're just hoping that everything will be fine with him. My brother and I are worried. We're hoping he'll be all right. He seems to be, but again, he's pretty strong. So you really don't know, how he's feeling it deep inside. We know it's hurting us. It's definitely me. I'm more emotional than them, than my brother and my dad. But it's just the unfortunate, sad reality of what we're going through, that we are now, forced to live the rest of our lives without my mom with us anymore. So, yeah, just wanted to, let you guys know. I know last time when I did this, my wife had passed and it just happened, and it was tough, and I took a few days off. That was when I was vlogging a lot more, but I'm obviously not doing that much these days anymore. Yeah, I wanted to at least let you guys in, that another sad tragedy has affected me. So I'm basically about home now, but it's just what happens. Unfortunately, longevity ran in my mom's side of the family. She was the youngest of 5, and all her other sisters are currently still alive. So we're just like, I thought I'd have a lot more time, or we all thought we'd have a lot more time with my mom. Her oldest sister's in her early 90s. The rest of her sisters are in their 80s. My mom was 77. And, again, like I said, first to go. Just like my first wife was the youngest of 9, first to go. So, yeah, this is unfortunate, but just wanted to let you guys know I'm heading back home, and guess we'll just move on with life without my mom, but I'll always be thinking of her because she always looked out for me. So, back when I lost my wife, they came to pick me up. She was there when I was in my Navy career. They were always there when I came back to port from my submarines. They supported me when I finally got a job after losing my first wife, and I was really having a hard time finding work. And they were so happy with the job that I got, which I don't want to mention for a conflict of interest, but it's just her support and everything. And even despite my growing up was not easy. I was always rebellious growing up, and now you look back and they never wavered in their love for me and all that. Still cared for them. Told them, hey, at least I didn't end up dead or in jail, for my rebellious ways back when I was younger. So, I told my mom, you did good. She was apologizing for being so strict with me. I was like, Mom, I'm still here. You didn't push me away. And like I said, I'm not in jail and I'm not dead. But, yeah, she will greatly be missed. So, all right, I'm out of here. I'm home. And till next time, adios.